And we've had some fantastic sessions where they've written and created content aimed at very specific audiences. My role now is I'm the Widening Participation Faculty Coordinator for the Faculty of Social Science.
Catchy.
Yeah, I know. It just rolls off the tongue. So I there's lots of different areas that my work's involved in, but primarily it's to support the work that's undertaken in the faculty around widening participation, and to support them to interact with the team, and for the team to interact with them as well. And another part of the work that we've been doing is around creating a peer network. A lot of colleagues who work in WP and departments do that on their own. They're not necessarily always part of a peer network. They're not part of a community of practitioners. So we set up the WP staff network, and we did something similar for students, the WP student network as well.
Which have both been massive successes, and we'll kind of come back and touch upon that later, kind of what you get involved with in that. So you do social sciences, Damien is arts.
He's arts, and Amanda is STEM.
Okay, so you all kind of do the same role, but obviously cover different parts of university. So I think it's really important, and a role that was definitely needed, because the university is such a big place. Often you'd hear about departments doing kind of outreach work, and then with a school, and then we'd go in the following week and do something very similar, and both parties not know about that work. So it was hugely needed, I think, like the link up between and the kind of collab, because a lot of our work, we need academics for a lot of the events. Again, we come back to summer school. Most of it during the day is academic sessions. They're sessions that we couldn't really run ourselves, and we need the support from the department. So it's great to have kind of that kind of collab and the link with the departments. And definitely I've noticed since you guys have been in post, like, it's much easier to get academics to support our sessions. Not that they kind of turned down the opportunity before, but they might not even been aware of the opportunity. I think it's just been great to kind of reach out to you guys and say, we need support for this session, and you can kind of think, oh God, we know the perfect person, we'll get in touch with them. So day to day, how does your job work? Are you kind of primarily based in the department? Are you in University House? Like how, or is it mixed? Or
I was going to say, I smile at the moment because my days, like at the moment, are the same as everyone else's. I wake up, I'm at home. But in the normal. In normal times, and I think this is one of the key things with the roles, is that they are based in faculty. So I'm in the Faculty of Social Science hub. So that's really good. Although I do miss the team a little bit, and I do kind of pop over as much as I can. But it's really good because we get to have some of those sort of background conversations that if you're not there for, you miss. So people will just pop in my office and ask me a question, and that includes like the head of administration, that includes the head of faculty. I'm available to people, and I think that's a big part of our role as well, is that we're available to people. And it also means that we get to pick up on things that are going on at a departmental level as well. So we're aware sometimes of pressures that the team may not be, and we might be aware of things that are happening in departments that mean that it wouldn't be appropriate to approach that department for support, or they're not in the right place at the moment to be able to support something because they've got X or Y happening. And equally, that means that we find out about stuff that's going on. We find out about interesting work that's happening. And I think particularly recently around transition support and things like that, we've been having a lot of conversations. So we meet with the faculties, I would say, probably twice a term. But it is that availability and being present as well that's really important and key to our roles, I think, she says, sitting at home.
What type of events can academics get involved with?
So I think one of the things that we've tried to do over the past couple of years is to allow a little bit more co-creation, because I think before, and exactly the same for the projects and things that I ran on, is I would have someone come for a slot, and there is space for that, and there's definitely that's something good that we do. So we'll have academic colleagues come to do like a session, a taster session, and we've had some fantastic sessions where they've written and created content aimed at very specific audiences, primary school, for instance. And I know that Marie's moved towards a more co-creation model now with departments around them creating content and taking much more of a lead in that, which I think is really, really good. So there's a real mixture of different things that they can get involved in, and the level of engagement that they can get involved as well. Because when people don't have a lot of time, delivering a taster session to year 12s is perfect. If someone wants to invest a little bit more and wants to be a bit more creative, getting involved in something like the primary programme is a perfect fit there. As well as some of the transition support and the life cycle work with current undergraduates. So a lot of that isn't necessarily always with the team, but it comes from our work and from the understanding of what WP students need, which is really great to see.
And you touched on something really important, because kind of aiming the session at a target audience is so important, because I've sat in some fantastic sessions, and then equally I've sat in some sessions that they're talking about kind of a really specific kind of maybe post-16 topic to year 7 students, and the year 7 students have just gone over their head. So it is really important, and with the reverse training we can kind of advise and give advice on how to deliver a session targeted at different audiences, can't we? But it is really important, because for some of the students it's their first engagement with a university. We're there to try and, inspire them, encourage them to think, actually, I could do this. If the session is way over their head, or equally if the session isn't challenging enough, it can have a really detrimental effect. So it's a big kind of responsibility pitching it at and it's difficult pitching it at the right audience, isn't it? I
think as well, when you've, so for some of our young people, this might be the only chance they get to interact with a subject that they don't know anything about. So I think it's really important that when we do that, it's okay if they come and they go, that's not for me, but not because they kind of switched off from the session because it wasn't challenging or it was too challenging. And I think this year we've ran training with the support of the team actually for primary, pre-16 and post-16, and all of those sessions have been really well attended, and we've got the post-16 one coming up, and I think we've got 30 or 40 colleagues kind of coming along to that, which is really good, and a lot of that is around pitching and creating interactive content, and also allowing colleagues in departments to interact with the WP team as practitioners, which I think is really, really important too, because we all are part of a peer network. So,